Hi, this is Brian Cates with the Skit Guys, and today I'm going to show you how to customize the ending of the Easter invite video. Now, before we begin, I'd like to say that this tutorial is probably best handed off to someone in your church who's a little more computer savvy, maybe even specifically someone who has done some video editing before. The software that I'm going to show you how to use today is a professional grade software, although you may not have your hands on some software that's as advanced as this. The same basic principles apply to any linear editing software. So you can essentially take the principles that I'm going to show you today and apply them to Windows Movie Maker or iMovie or Adobe Premiere or whatever your church has access to in order to edit the end of this video. But again, this video is not for everyone. I would pass off this task to someone in your church who really kind of knows what they're doing, at least with computers and creativity and doing creative projects on the computer. So, before we begin, if you have downloaded this video from skitguys.com, then you should have access to these 6 files. There is essentially 3 files for the full-length version and 3 files for the 60-second version. 60-second version is pretty much the exact same video, just trimmed in half. So if your church is short on time, they can use these videos and get through the announcement a lot quicker. However, the full-length version is much funnier, and I would highly recommend using that version. So there's the generic version that has an animated title card sequence at the end that tells people to invite someone to Easter on April 8th. Then there's the no titles version that has the full announcement, and then there's no information at the end. Essentially, this video is designed for a church who just wants to play the video and then have a speaker come up at the end and give all the details about Easter. Then there comes to this video. This is the video that we will be talking about today, the template version of Easter Invite. And essentially what this is a video where the title card at the end has a blank title plate where you can add in your own custom text that gives all the information for your church's Easter service and Easter activities. So let's show you how to edit this. So what I've done is I've opened up Final Cut Pro and I have dropped in Easter Invite Template HD onto my timeline. And if we scan across the timeline, you can see videos playing nice and smooth. And essentially what I've done is if we go here to the end, you can see these 3 title cards right here. And if we play, there's a nice dissolve in, Easter Sunday at Grace Church, 9 and 11 a.m. Great. Well, I want to show you how to do that. So, let's start a new project. And I will go to File, Import, Files. And I will go and find the Easter Invite. And I want the Easter Invite Template HD. So I will choose that file. It appears up here in the browser window. And I'll just drag that onto the timeline. Do I want to conform the settings of this video to the settings of the timeline? Of course I do. So let's zoom out here. So here we have the video on the timeline. Plays through nicely. We'll go here to the end of the video and we'll find the place where that blank title plate comes in right there. And this is where we need to put our title. So I'm going to move the playhead back here to right where it comes in, and I'm going to use my arrow keys on the keyboard to advance, arrow key right, to advance right to the place where that title plate is in place. So now it's time to add the text. So I'm going to go up here to my browser window and go to Effects. Then I'm going to open up Video Generators, Text, and Text. I'm going to drop this piece of text right here on the playhead, right where that title plate finished coming in. And here I have my text sitting on top of the title plate. Now we don't want it to say sample text, so we're going to edit the text. I'm going to double click on it and go up here to the viewer window and select the Controls tab. And this opens up all the controls that I can modify for that piece of sample text right there. So let's call this Easter Sunday. click the timeline to refresh, and there we have Easter Sunday. That's great. So if I wanted to add another line, I just click at the end of Sunday, hit return, and then let's type in at Grace Church. Click on the timeline to refresh it. At Grace Church, you can see how at Grace Church is kind of down in a place where it's not as visible. So I'm going to click on the origin crosshair, and that activates this red crosshair right here in the middle. And all I need to do is take my mouse and click up here, and I can drag, and it will place the text wherever I want it. So I'm going to bring it up here. That's good. I'm going to go back over here to the viewer window, and I'm going to click after church, hit return again, and then type in 9 and 11 a.m. Probably need a colon and some zeros after that. I'm going to click back here on the timeline to refresh. Boom. We have all the information that we need for this video. Now, Easter Sunday at Grace Church, 9 to 11 in this Lucida Grand font. Doesn't look that good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the font to, this is a fun font that I got on dafont.com, dafont.com. American Purpose, that's kind of a fun font. I'm going to increase the size to, let's say 48. That looks pretty good. It's a little bit too blocky, so I'm going to take at Grace Church out, and I'm going to leave a gap in there between Easter Sunday and 9 a.m. Click on the timeline to refresh. You can see there's a nice little gap there. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to my browser window and drop another text slug down there. And now you see that I have my sample text there again. I'm going to double click on that second piece of text, move the origin crosshair up here so it's nice and centered. Then I'm going to type in at Grace Church, and then let's find a nice font here. Okay, let's go down and let's add Santa Fe. Yeah, that looks good. So I'm going to increase the size. We can just click on this, I don't know what that's called, a little size knob. I'm going to click on the size knob, and I'm going to increase it to, say, 54. That looks good. Okay, great. So this title card looks great, but it kind of blends in a little bit too much. White on baby blue just is a little, there's not enough contrast, and the text doesn't pop enough off the title card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on my first piece of text, and then I'm going to go up to the motion tab in the viewer window, and then I'm going to add a drop shadow. And you can see how there's instantly a new pop on the text. So let's expand the drop shadow window, and let's drop this opacity down to maybe 30 and hit enter. That's a little better. 50 was just a little bit too dark of a shadow behind the text. So then I'll go to my second piece of text, go back to the motion tab, add the drop shadow, and take the opacity down to 30. So let's render this out. I just selected the two title cards and hit Command R to render. Your software may not require you to render. You may be able to preview it instantly. But I'm going to click the playhead over here and press play. And boom, there is our text. Now the video ends and the text is still playing, as you can see. So we'll go back here to where the video ends, and I'm going to use my right arrow key to go frame by frame to where it ends. And then I'm just going to click the end of this track and drag it over to the playhead. It locks. And now my text ends at the same time my video does. If we play it back, you can see how that looks. Great. Now, it might be nice to have this dissolve in a little bit, because it just kind of appears, a static appearance of the text on top of the title card. So if we want it to dissolve in a little bit, what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to the browser window and click on Effects, Video Transitions, Dissolve, and then I'm going to select a cross dissolve. I'm going to drag that cross dissolve on the front end of that text, drag another one on the front end of the second piece of text. Let's zoom in by dragging this scroll bar. And I don't want to, this defaults as a 1 second transition, so it takes 1 second to come onto the screen to 100% opacity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to maybe find the middle, and I'm going to do a half-second transition because I don't think we need a full second for that text to come up. Render that out again, and then hit play. There. Beautiful, nice dissolve. So now we just have to export this video that we have edited and make a new video out of it. Every editing software is different. In Final Cut Pro, you just go to File, Export, and you can export as a QuickTime movie. Or if you want to add some compression and not make as big of a file size, but still make it look nice, you can add custom adjustments to your video settings in QuickTime Conversion. So that's the tutorial. I hope this helped you out and at least gave you some general ideas on how to apply these techniques to your video editing software. Again, if you've just watched this tutorial and you have no idea what I'm talking about and this is all really confusing, then that's totally fine. You just need to maybe get some help from someone who's a little bit more technical savvy in your church. So thanks for supporting the Skit guys and our ministry, and hope everyone has a happy Easter.